Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Zodiac Bandit, and today we're going to be recapping episode 69, nice, of campaign 3 of Critical Role. It was a fun one, so let's get into it right now. We start in Zephrah. The party have stepped out into the celebration. The day is theirs to do as they like. The party discuss where to go next. Orym wants to learn what happened at the dig site, but can't go there quite yet. Laudna asks if anyone else feels upset at the fact that when Keyleth told them to get allies, they didn't really have any idea about where to go. They all discuss their allies and the people they've sort of left behind. Laudna outlived all of her friends and family. FGG killed theirs. Ashton's left them. Imogen left hers, and Fern has a ton. She's good. The party go over the task ahead of them to fix the harness and go to the Shattered Teeth to gather allies, and then fly up to the moon and stop Ludinus and Predathos. They can't deal with any of it today, however, as there's no charges on the teleport staff. So, what are they up to today? Chetney asks if there's anywhere to go base jumping. Orym says they have the hang gliders or these sky sails they can mess around on. FGG says that they'd like to shop a bit, and others have stuff to collect as well. Orym thinks they have time to do stuff, but Imogen says they should leave tonight, but realistically they can't. FGG says they need to sleep to get a better idea about where D is before they try to teleport. FGG says they need to talk to Keyleth again to work out the details of their plan so she can help them out. During all this, Ashton snuck away to go get their clothing that they ordered before. After they get some space from the party, they sit down in a corner and have a mild panic attack. As they sit there, they see the shale stones of the road. They feel their heartbeat and swear the stones are beating with it. After a few minutes pass, their panic attack slows, and they realize now is not the time to process things. They continue to Fanny Z's shop. They see Z finishing up a dark outfit. Z sees them and asks if they need it right now. Ashton says soonish. Z says it'll be about 2 minutes and asks if they are alright. Ashton says they just need new clothes. Z says that can be the first step into figuring things out. Z spins the outfit around. There's tall boots on it, lots of brass buckles, black pants with stripes that go down it that shift in colors. The stripe is a dark blue to light blue, and it has a shimmer to it. That leads up to the corset-like torso piece. It has a similar shimmer to it, and it goes from blue to red to pink, and it has the Hishari symbol on it. Meanwhile, Orym goes to Torth, the blacksmith's place, but he still needs a few hours before Orym's armor is done. He steps back outside and sees Fern and FCG are waiting outside. Orym asks if they want to go see his family. They agree to go do that, and they head off to his mom's house. Orym says they might have more clothes for everybody if they need. He takes FCG and Fern to Nell's place. Nell is in the garden and sees Orym approach. Orym hugs her and introduces FCG and her to Nell. FCG and Fern to Nell. Orym tells Nell Fern is from the Feywild. Nell believes that she does give off a otherworldly feel, and then tells Nell that FCG is from a different time, which FCG explains a bit. FCG says they're here now and they're making a difference. Nell says she's seen one like them before with one of Keyleth's friends, Dodie. FCG is surprised by this. FCG says they need some guidance and asks if Nell is religious. Nell is not religious. FCG asks how she makes tough decisions. She does ask those around her for guidance, including Keyleth, but she often relies on her own life experience and her own judgment. FCG says that's very mature. Nell says in time and with traveling with Orym, she thinks that they'll learn to do the same and won't have to rely on the coin. Nell is proud of her children and Orym. She asks what the wildest thing Fern and FCG have seen Orym do, but they don't really give her all that much other than falling off the skyship, which is rude. They should have given her more. Orym asks if the family is in. She says not now, but they'll be back after the merriment. Orym asks if Nell would go to Will's and Derek's grave with them. She does want to go. Orym says he misses them now more than ever. He misses Derek's advice and steady hand on his shoulder. Orym and Nell lead the others to a mountain range. This mountain range has memorial plateaus or gravesites on it. They eventually make it to Derek and Will's graves. Derek's has a weathered breastplate on it, and Will's has his blade placed into it. Orym walks up to Derek's grave and touches the armor. He says, "Hi, Dad, it's been too long. I should have come last time I was home. Not sure why I didn't. It's real good to see you. I think about you every day while I'm out there, trying to make decisions, always asking what would Derek do. And I look back, and I know it wasn't always the right one, but it was always good. I'm trying to do that in my everyday. Thanks for watching over. You should see your girls. The three of them are as like each other as can be, and often off in three different directions. You did good. So did they. Anyway, we're heading out. I don't know when we'll be back. I don't know when I'll be back. Thank you for the 1,000th time." He shifts to the blade. "Hey, you. I see you every night, so it's not as long as a goodbye. It was really good to see you when I did. Not in the circumstances I imagined, but still welcome. I'm doing this for you. It's bigger than us." He says he doesn't know if there'll be enough, and knows Will would be fighting on the front lines if he was still here. He says he'll see him soon. Fern says not too soon. Nell walks up and brushes the moss off the armor. They all take a moment. Nell asks if the party wants biscuits and tea. Orym, Fern, and FCG all accept. As they go to leave, Orym stops FCG. Orym says life gets messy. FCG agrees, but they got to breathe, smell, and know Orym. Orym says, or asks Nell asks Nell if she has any of the antidote. She says any of the antidote left would be at Keyleth's place. Going over to Chetney, Laud, and Imogen, they found the hanging gliding area. They see a halfling man folding one of these gliders up. He asks if he can help them. The party tell him they are visiting and say that they are friends with Orym, and they want to try out one of these things that he's holding. He asks if they want to just use a sky sail. He says they aren't for recreational activities, as a person behind him does a backflip in the air. Lana tries to convince him to let them try, and with a 19 and with some money, he gives in. They can all fit on one, but Imogen doesn't want to try it, and Lana and Chetney want to do it on their own. Lana grabs Imogen's hand and says if anything happens to her to try to move on. Chetney asks what that was. Lana says that Imogen is her girlfriend. Chetney says that's great, and then follows it up with nice. The halfling man says he is Uli. Uli grabs a training sail. Chetney and Lana are not fans of this. An elven woman, another operator of the sky sails, sees them and asks questions what they're doing, but Uli shows her the money and she is okay with it. They scam Chetney and Lana out of a bit more money for some of the equipment. He gives them all call signs. Laudna is Snappy Twig. Imogen is Sunshine Sally. And I can't roll my R's, so I really just can't say Chetney's. But it has something to do with growling and roaring. So, yeah, I can't roll my R's. Otherwise, I would try. He brings Laudna up to the training sail. He asks if they have any experience. They have been in the air before. He clips Laudna into the glider, and he clips himself onto the back as well. He starts the enchantment and the wings spread. He pulls a lever and then begin to fall. He tells Laudna to pull up on the lever in front of her. With a strength check of 16, she pulls up with no problem and she begins to arc up. She's now flying around with Uli. Meanwhile, Chetney on the ground grabs one of his own sky sails. He watched Uli set it up, so he feels like he can set it up. Chetney starts the enchantment and jumps off the cliff. Uli is terrified seeing this, freaking the fuck out. Strength check from Chetney, 14. Imogen jumps off and casts fly as well. This terrifies Uli even more. Lana takes over the flying from Uli, overpowering him with a better strength save. Somehow the twig did it. Lana and Chetney begin to dogfight in the air. Imogen just watches until she joins in a little bit. Uli freaks out, being a part of all this. Imogen and Laudna are throwing prestidigitations toward Chetney as their missiles. Chetney blows the horn of silent alarm, being really loud for Imogen. Chetney begins to dive bomb and sees the valley below and how far up he is. This terrifies him a little bit. He tries to pull up as he's going down. He's going down way too quickly, and he is heading toward a farmer who's just going about his business. The farmer screams at the sight of Chetney. Laudna and Imogen follow. Uli takes over Laudna's sky sail and turns them around, but Laudna casts infestation on Uli and takes over again. Imogen is about 80 feet behind Chetney. He looks like he's about to hit the ground. In Chetney's mind, he hears if he wants some help. He says maybe, but then tries to stop himself. And with a 16th strength check, he's able to pull himself up, taking out some of the shingles on one of the nearby houses. He turns just in time to see Laudna. They avoid each other narrowly, but Laudna needs to now make her own strength saving throw as she's heading for the ground as well. The person who just avoided Chetney sees her and hides again, and with a nat 20 roll, she pulls up without any issue. Chetney goes to land, but a gust of wind takes him and slams him into a nearby storage house. The sky sail broke a little bit. Ashton walks up to him. Laudna and Uli roll up and they land without issue. Uli is messed up by the bees. Ashton keeps people back. The elven operator is watching in delight until she sees the absolute horror that is Uli's face. Laudna heals Uli a little bit. Uli just tells them to leave. Chetney is partly stuck inside the building he crashed into. His head is sticking out. Behind him he hears chickens and clucking, and they begin to pluck at his feet. Imogen and Laudna pull him out. Ashton laughs. Some chickens get out of this little barn, but Laudna and Imogen cast mending to fix it up a little bit so no more get out. Chetney and Laudna high-five over the great idea. Orym saw the whole thing happen and thinks that's about it as well as it was going to go. The party reconvene and Imogen says the others should have seen it. Orym says there's still time before his gear is ready. FGG wants to rest up a bit before they go anywhere so they can scry again. So they choose to go to a bar to kill time. Everyone notices Ashton's new clothes. Imogen says she likes their new confidence with it. Fern asks for their old jacket and puts it on and then says, fuck off. Imogen reminds everybody they need to see Keyleth again. Ashton says it's a good idea to run their plan by an actual adult, which fucking killed me. They head to Torth's first, and they get Orym's new armor. It's a full brown leather bodysuit. It looks more geared up for the front lines. The sword arm is still exposed and free from leather. There are gaps in his shield arm and his ribs area, so he can breathe a bit more. Or so it can breathe. Torth says it's a gift from the Savior Blade. Orym thanks him, but says that's not necessary, and then Torth says that it's definitely necessary. Keyleth told him himself. Or herself. The party then goes to the Airy Eerie, an outdoor-like bar. It's busy as the celebration of the Voices recovery is still going on. Orym walks up to the bar and sees an Air Genasi. Orym says he's here for one night and wants it to be a good night. He gives him a platinum piece, and they get drinks and basically pay for all the drinks for the night. He brings the drinks over to everybody else. He says they're on a tough road and is glad everyone is here and survived. They toast to fuck chickens. Ashton puts a silver piece in a shot glass and hands it to FCG and tells them to eat it when they all take a shot. Ashton wonders if they could make some alcohol using FCG and feels confident after a bit of an intelligence roll that over time they probably could. Chetney asks FCG if they are missing Frida. FCG says they are now, and of course they are. FCG asks what they sent Frida and the others to do. Orym says to gather information in Vasselheim. FCG says they are trying to figure out what it would take to make Ashton a believer in the gods. Ashton says nothing that will ever happen. FCG asks how they would know this. They made the world the way it is today. Ashton says by destroying parts of the world to fight off other people. FCG says they pushed out the bad gods. Ashton then brings up the fact that they met a champion of one of these bad gods and he didn't seem all that bad and is in fact offering to help them. Chetney states that someone like FCG brought them back to life and they've now met another one like Frida and says that that's extremely rare. He wonders if they can find more people like them and gain disciples. FCG says that their people are becoming aware and rising up, believing that might be a sign. They wonder if it's a god causing them to wake up. Ashton says weird shit's been happening. FCG doesn't want followers of their own. Chetney says to not rule it out. Fern tells Chetney that the Matron of Ravens spoke to them and maybe that was her poking towards Chetney. Lana says that she wants to walk the primordial path. Fern says that Ashton is even more interesting than they thought, being part Titan or having Titan blood. FCG asks what happened to the Titans. Orym says the gods pushed them out, and eventually they sided with the betrayer gods during the calamity. FCG wonders why Ashton hates the gods. FCG and Imogen think back to when they were in Ashton's head and look around for Titan vibes, but they can't really think of anything as they didn't know what Titan vibes meant back then. They talk about another round of shots, but Orym already paid. Lana asks how Orym feels about having a title. He says it's as cool as having Titan blood. More shots at the table, and they toast to Bertrand. Lana leaves the table for a minute and meditates, looking out to the sunset. She sees a bunch of colors and focuses specifically on the purples and greens. Under her breath, she says, "Delilah, are you still there?" I felt a pulse, so I'm just curious. A bit of time goes by and there's no answer. Imogen walks up behind her and sits down. She asks what she's doing. Lana says that she's doing some inward reflection. With everyone talking about God, she doesn't think there's any more room and wanted to see what was happening inside. Imogen asks if Lana thinks that Delilah is a god, or if she's godlike. Lana doesn't know, but we need all the help they can get. Imogen says she knows Delilah wants Lana alive. If she reached out to her while Lana was dead, she prayed to her like she was a god. Lana says, yeah, but she didn't really help, so she's pretty useless. Imogen agrees and says that to Delilah specifically, but no response still. Lana says she didn't feel anything when she reached into herself to find Delilah. Imogen wonders if Lana reached out to a god, maybe they could push Delilah out. Lana says none of them have ever spoken to her. Imogen wonders about the matron, but Lana doesn't think that the matron would like her very much for her circumstances of being alive. Imogen wonders who the cleric that helped them speak to Lord Esteros after he died speaks to. They think it was the Moonweaver. They try to talk to the Moonweaver, and they start yelling out, asking how she feels about everything, but they get no answer. The others, Ashton specifically, is concerned. FCG thinks this is great that they're trying. They can see them from where they are. Lana and Imogen walk back to the others. Orym confronts Chet about the toys he made over the years. He says if Chetney has toys, or asks if Chetney has toys in every city in the world. Chetney says pretty much franchises all over. Orym thought it was all bullshit, but he's got some actual skill. Chetney says you can't just tell them, you have to let them find out on their own. Chetney asks if he had a favorite toy. Orym did. It was the wooden swordsman with movable arms. The toy talk continues for a while as they continue to drink. Lana feels a cold sensation go down her shoulders and hears, "No matter who you pray to, you are and will always be mine." The voice of Delilah has returned to her head. They talk about what's next, seeing the Tempest or sleep, and then see her. FCG wishes they could get drunk. They've tried a few times and tried a few things, but nothing seems to work. FCG suggests seeing the Tempest tomorrow as everyone's a little too drunk. Fern wants to smoke and Chetney lights it. Lights his sword and then lights her smoke with it. Chetney hears the sword say it doesn't trust the voice of the Tempest and feels she is leading him astray. He thinks the members of the Council of Teldore are an extension of the Shadow destroying Teldore. The sword says to not let her in his head, and Chetney decides to put the sword away as the party is a little worried. They choose to rest up and see Keyleth the next day. They choose to sleep at Orym's place, specifically the roof, because they want to look at the stars. Orym's mom welcomes them to her home. She can see they were partying. She lets them all in. Orym asks if the roof will hold them all. Elma says no, but there's only one way to find out. The party think the backyard might be a better place, and they can have a fire. Orym asks if they want to, or Fern asks if they want to scry before bed. FCG can't look, so they can't scry on D, but Fern can scry on Dancer. Fern casts scry on Dancer. She pulls through the sky, above and is pulled over Exandria. She's brought down into a dark city street. She sees Dancer lean on a wall, and a metallic bat lands on her. This bat has no head. There's a sound of metal steps behind, as another round metal being follows with 3 legs. She comes to a road and vomits into glowing water. This signifies that she's in Eos. She cleans herself off and takes a moment. She seems okay with being alone. Fern tells the rest of the party what she saw. FCG is now set on going to Dancer as they know where she is, but the others still want to see D. They can look tomorrow about where D is. Orym has an idea and uses the sending stone to try to talk to Caleb, but it doesn't work. Laudna pulls out the scry ball to see if Odahan is nearby, but it's dark. The party rest up and get a long rest. The next morning, they hear roosters sound off, the staff is fully charged, and they head to Keyleth's place. As they go, they see the city of Zephrah wake up. Keyleth is already up. She stands up and sees them. Wind picks up around her, and she steps inside her house before they get to it. Chetney says she looks much better and doesn't trust it. Chetney hears, be on your guard. Tholo is keeping watch outside Keyleth's room. He lets them in. She welcomes them in. Not a sign of a wound on her anywhere. Orym is happy to see her return to form. She asks why they're here so early. They say they're about to leave town and want to know how to communicate with Keyleth. She thinks that she'll be doing a bunch of jumping around herself and communication will be a good thing. She asks where they're going, either Eos or the Menagerie Coast, and then off to the Shattered Teeth. Keyleth says that if they come back from Eos or the Menagerie Coast, she may not be there, and someone else will be able to tell them or teleport them to the Shattered Teeth. Keyleth says they've been to the dig site and suggests that when they're ready, they should head there again and somehow get to the moon and come back. Imogen agrees. The rest of the party aren't sure if it's possible to come back. Keyleth says she can gather allies, but not many of them will be willing to run headfirst into a meat grinder, meaning that they need to know what the fuck they're up against. Orym suggests they could use the staff to teleport there and back. Imogen says that she's seen it, but doesn't have anything from there. Fern says that they can summon the Rhyoli, and maybe they can take something from it. Keyleth isn't knowledgeable on that kind of magic, but someone could probably tell them if that would work. Chetney asks if the Teldari Council would know. Keyleth says that they are some of the people she's going to speak to, so she can ask. The sword says Chetney is getting through her lies. The party asks if Keyleth can give them some of the antidote for the toxin. Keyleth uses the air to summon one of the glass bottles with the toxin in it and gives it to them. Orym asks if they're going to get more. Keyleth said that she will be doing that herself now that she can. Laudna goes back to the Shattered Teeth and how to get there. Keyleth suggests that she can go with them to the first place if they're going to be quick. The party says that it's a quick pit stop, hopefully. The sword says to Chetney to keep her close. This will be his chance to get rid of her and save them all. FCG says that it's time to go to Eos, but the rest of the party don't think that that's a good idea. It's still unknown if D or Dancer is the one who fixed them up. As far as FCG is concerned, Dancer did it. Imogen thinks Dancer is a liar, and Ashton doesn't think that she will help because they cut her arm off. Fern says to look for guidance from the Tempest, like Nell said. Keyleth says that she can bring back limbs, so fuck it, that's where they're going. They choose this'll be enough to help. This will be enough to convince Dancer to help. Keyleth goes to her guards to let them know that she is leaving. As she leaves the room, Chetney looks angry. The party question why. He says he doesn't trust her. The sword tells him to calm down, to not give anything away. Chetney says he's still feeling the effects from the night before. Fern asks why he doesn't trust Keyleth. Chetney simply says, "Oh, I just don't trust Laudna." Keyleth comes back and she drinks some sort of potion, which turns her into an older half-elven woman with gray hair, with gray highlights in her red hair, and smaller, with normal clothes. She looks like normal Keyleth now. normal as she would be aging in the time period that they're in. They group up to teleport. FGG thinks of Eos. They feel the power of the room pull towards them. They are consumed by magic and light. Sam rolls a D100 and rolls a fucking 1. What is with them in this campaign and rolling enough divine interventions that the game would be over by now? Like, that's ridiculous. I think they've done it like 6 times where if they were casting divine intervention, it would have worked. It's ridiculous how often they seem to roll like below 10 on D100s. It's actually crazy to me. They see the light of the glowing water, and then they are suddenly all blasted by magical energy. They take 22 damage. Sam rolls again, this time getting a 51, and they see the end of the arcane tunnel, and they are dropped onto the ground. They are on the stone ground of the city of Eos. Everyone questions why they always get hurt by the fucking teleportation. FGG heals everyone a little bit for 8 hit points. Keyleth is very grateful for it. It is pre-dawn here in Marquette. Keyleth looks around and says she doesn't think she's been here before. They can see the red moon floating low. Keyleth takes it in for a second. She then thanks them for bringing her here. Fern thinks about where she saw Dancer with a 30 perception check. She recalls the skyline of the city and thinks that she was in the Endeavor Ring, which is the central ring of the city. She leads them to the Endeavor Ring. Guards look at them to make sure they don't cause any trouble, as there are a bunch of new people in town. The party see the Skyport and casino they landed at not too long ago. Imogen asks if Keyleth has ever been to a casino. She has gambled before. She has some bad influences in her life. She's been to Kymel and other places, but not here. Ashton insight checks this and thinks that she's being very honest with a very low insight roll. FGG casts Locate Creature on Dancer when they get to the Endeavor Ring. They begin to lead the way. Fern says they're going the wrong way, but FGG pushes onward, and the rest follow. Fern, the forever troll. Chetney hears if she falls back from the group, don't be concerned, take your shot. Chetney says he's trying to stay cool, but it's hard for him to continue to do this as he keeps talking to him like this. The sword says he can feel Chetney's greatness, and they'll do great things together. Imogen asks what he's mumbling about. He says nothing. They approach the outside of the hostel. They approach the outside of a hostel. There's a lounge area, a food and drink bar, but they're closed at this time. There's 2 people sleeping in the corner. FGG feels Dancer is 2 floors up. Ashton says they should take a ginger approach so she doesn't run. FGG doesn't think she will. Laudna asks if she'll be drunk. Imogen thinks that'll be very helpful for them if she is. Laudna will watch the exit. Keyleth turns into a mouse and goes into Fern's hands as she thinks that might be a better way for her to be around. Imogen goes up the stairs alone as Dancer never saw her. She sees a long hallway and FGG has to join her as FGG knows exactly which room she's in. They approach the door and knock. Dancer yells, "What?" Imogen asks if it's Dancer. Dancer asks who this is. Imogen introduces herself, and now they know each other so she can open the door. Dancer says that Imogen sounds cute and asks who sent her. Imogen says that she'll find out. Dancer opens the door. Imogen asks if she can talk. Dancer says she can do more than talk. Imogen says she has a friend, and Dancer sees FGG and freaks out. As she freaks out, above the door is the metal headless bat named Pussy 2. Fuck's sake. Matt living up to the rest of the joke is perfect. FGG says they need help. They say they're trying to fix something that could help save the world. FGG says ever since they left, they've done a bunch of good things and found God, and their friends trust them. Imogen joins in and says that they can also grow her arm back if she helps. Dancer sits down and puts her head in her hands. FGG says they've had some rough times and know she can fix something and has passed that skill down to FGG. They're trying to fix the world and maybe can pay for it. Pay it forward. Persuasion check. at advantage, a 1 and a 4 for a total of 10. Dancer grabs a glass of alcohol and finishes it. She says, FCG, I don't need to be fixed. She learned a lot putting her new arm together, and it's a reminder of where to put her trust. FCG says that they can't fulfill their mission until they close this chapter with Dancer. Dancer says she'll help, but FCG and her are done. That part of their lives is done. It's time for them to move on. And with Ruidus up in the sky, she'd like to spend what days she has left drinking, fucking, and sleeping. Goals. FCG suggests this is a job rather than them being friends or working through things, and that they'll pay her. Dancer agrees. They explain that it's ancient. Dancer thinks that she can do it with some time and supplies, but she needs water as she's had a rough night drinking. She didn't expect that she would be working the next day. FCG offers to help her. Dancer says yes. FCG goes to cast Lesser Restoration on them, but Dancer jumps a bit and then lets it happen. She's now all fixed up and they head downstairs. Dancer meets the party and asks what they're working on. Chet hands it to Dancer. Imogen tells FCG that they're a good person. FCG isn't quite sure. Dancer asks where it's from, but they don't tell her quite yet. She sees it's got elven design to it, and it's beautifully made. She grabs a few tools and to look it over. Dancer says that it's very complicated, and it might be beyond her. Or it might be beyond just her. Dancer says there's one place and one person that can help fix it. Dancer suggests going to Imahari Joe's, which is where I thought they should have gone from fucking day one. She thinks if they work together, they should be able to fix it. Ashton thinks about it. If there's trees in Bassaris that they can use, there's a few. Imogen asks if they were to... Imogen asks if they were run out of town before, and Ashton says that everyone gets run out of town, it's fine. They say maybe Keyleth can get them there. Keyleth transforms back from her rat form, and they introduce her as Kimothy Charlemagne, but we're just going to call her Kimothy. Or, well, I'm just going to call her Keyleth. Keyleth has been to Bastards before, so she can take them there. FCG asks if Dancer needs anything. She says not if she has Cookie, which is the big round automaton. She knocks on its stomach, and a compartment opens up, and there's a bunch of stuff in it. And Pussy will also come, as her pussy always comes with her. I cannot fucking believe I just said that. Laudna shows Pate Pussy, and Pussy burns Pate. Pate just got burned by Pussy. Why am I saying this shit? Why did I write this down? She's ready to travel. She's not going to say no to going home. They head out to find a tree. They know of a big tree near the college. They head up toward the college and are heading up the stairs, and they hear a loud caw. Caw. FGG warns Dancer that the personification of their guilt is coming and to stand back. FGG then says Dancer built them like this, so it's her fault that this is happening. Just as they say this, a shit hits their head, and the party can see the deformed bird flying above. Shithead dodges the catapult spell that Laudna sends toward it. Fern then hits Shithead with Scorching Ray. Its fucking warm, crispy body slams onto the ground. It now looks like a roasted pheasant. Chetney runs over and tries to eat it, but isn't a werewolf. Chetney hands Shithead to FCG, but it starts to come back to life at this moment. FCG says that they'll eat it and tries to put it in their mouth, but this doesn't really do anything. The party try to figure out what to do as Shithead's body begins to snap back into place. Imogen casts Shock and Grasp on it, killing it again. Laudna grabs it to try to get a feel for its undeadness and yells, "Who do you work for?" But a low Arcana roll doesn't really help. Fern grabs it and casts Speak with Animals. It begins to snap back to life. FCG casts Identify on it, and they learn there is a strong necromantic power on it. Fern asks why he's going after them. Shithead says he just feels unworthy, and it kind of pisses him off. FCG asks what its goal is. It says its master is gone and can't die, so it just shits on him. FCG asks who they work for, Austin Powers, Who do you work for? He says he doesn't know. It's been a long time. She called him Gargo. Shithead breaks free from Fern's grasp and goes to fly up and dive bomb again. FCG uses Destroy Undead. Shithead fills the role, but Laudna has to roll as well as she is undead, and with a 15, she saves. That was fucking close. Granted, she wouldn't have died from it. She would have just gotten really hurt. The bird flies 4 FCG, and a whirlwind of light comes off FCG, and Shithead bursts into feathers. The party congratulate FCG for killing Shithead. FCG takes this as a sign. They reconnected with Dancer, and they killed the bird, so that's good. They are truly sorry for what they did to Dancer, and feel that this is why this was able to happen, because everything is now wrapping up for them. Keyleth thinks that they are all very strange, but thinks it's very fun. Chenny asks how FCG feels. They feel free and don't have to be fearful of birds anymore. FCG takes the feathers and leaves the shit on their head for now. They now are shithead themselves. They continue to the tree. They're told to stop by one of the guards of the school. It's only for students up here. Fern says she's a professor. Persuasion check of 11. He says he's going to call the authorities. They say they just need a tree, and he lets them by. I guess that was all it was needed. But he says he'll be watching them. Ashton says he'll remember him, and with an intimidation roll of 26, the guard stands down a bit. They go to the tree. Keyleth opens up, and the guard freaks out a bit. They run through the tree and end up in the city of Bassaris. They can hear the shouts and the revving of crawlers. Not surprised that the city is awake at this time. Everything here has a red hue to it, as Ruidus is super close overhead, as they are in the Hellcatch Valley. And that's where the episode ends. And there you have it, episode 69 of Campaign 3 of Critical Role. It made me come away a lot happier than episode 69 of Campaign 2, if that's any consolation prize. And they talked about pussy a lot. Anyway, moving on from that shit, I thought this was overall a good episode. It definitely is, one of those episodes that come every once in a while that has to, fill in gaps, or they have to just get from one place to another. And not a whole lot happened. There was some good character stuff, but there was a lot of fucking around in it too, so it was a lot of fun. I've never, been worried about waking other people up in my house than last night. When they were doing the whole Sky sale thing, I was losing my shit. I thought it was hilarious. Very fun episode. I do have a question, though. For all of you who play D&D at home, do any of you ever have sessions where just nothing truly happens other than moving around from place to place? Because I swear that is something that I would never do as a DM. And I think that's partially why they get to 100 plus sessions, which I'm not complaining, but I'm just curious if other people do this, because it's really interesting to me. The idea that sometimes nothing happens. They just talk, they just move around to places. Kind of interesting. No combat, no true forward progression to the their goals. Sure, they've jumped around to Bassaris, but I feel like if they just went to D or Joe automatically, it would have been done, if that makes any sense. So I don't know. I think Dancer was the worst decision. Going to Dancer was a huge mistake, although killing Shithead was fucking hilarious. So you know what? I take all that back. This was a great episode. I didn't say it was a bad episode, but this is a great episode. Yeah. And with that, I will see you guys on Tuesday for whatever video I make next. Peace. The rambling raves of a lunatic trying to come to conclusion about the episode and hoping that my neighbor doesn't cut his lawn anymore while I record.